What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we are on the test server here, so that's why I have 1 million gems on this account. And we're going to mess around a little bit more with Cassandra, the current ongoing fusion, so we can decide whether she's actually worth going for and whether she's going to be worth using on your account. Obviously, committing to a fusion is a lot of resources, and because we have a collab with a lot of champions involved, there's some pretty big opportunity costs here, so want to make sure you guys have all the information so you guys can make your decisions based on your own accounts. So let's jump into this. All right, guys, I figured I'll show you guys the build here first. We're going to mess around with a couple different builds here and adjust it on the way. But I want to show you guys the build here first so you guys can make up your own minds about things. Obviously, the results you see on my channel, my video, is based around the gear that I have. Obviously, if your gear does not match, just scale down your gear and scale down the difficulty of content that you are tackling. So we have her in a regen set. This allows her to heal up, basically solo content if she's able to. Again, we're going to focus a little bit more on PvE this time since we just had a video showcase of her in more attack-based gear. So this time we have her in regen gear with a impulse set. So impulse set is a 2-piece set that gives you a chance to reduce a random skill cooldown by 1 turn. You obviously want to hit her A3 so then she has more permanent uptime on her buffs, so she can do more damage and she can stay alive. Getting skill reduction on her A2 also is not bad as well because her A2 hits super hard, whether it's against PvP champions or boss content. It's going to hit really good. Also brings decreased defense once you bring her in a team as well. Now, don't pay too much attention to the blessings here. We will adjust the blessings along the way, especially when we're comparing her against other champions. We're just going to neutralize her blessings so she doesn't get any unfair advantages. As for the relic, we are messing around with the relics a little bit. This time I went with Aspect of Suroth. This gives her a chance to basically take a turn and then recover, but she does have a big heal as well, so she can recover. And with her A1 turn meter steal, she can get extra turns relatively frequently. For the gemstones, you just take gemstones that basically mitigate damage. You don't need any specific gemstone for her to do super well. And like I said, for the blessings, we will adjust it along the way. For this quick showcase here on this build, we're going to use Brimstone because we're going to be using her by herself in some content. And here are the masteries here. We did go for War Master because it just pitches in some extra damage. And then we did go with Life Drinker so that they pair well together so that she can heal up and keep herself alive. Lasting Gifts gives you some extra value on her buffs, extra duration, of course. Cycle of Magic, similar. You get some refreshes on her skills. And then we're going to go with Spirit Haze to give her some extra speed since we're bringing some food with her along the way. Rapid Response, pretty good. She does cast 3 buffs, so you have a pretty good chance of getting some extra turn meter there. And that's about it for her total build. Obviously, you book her out. She doesn't take that many books, only 8 books, and she gets a lot of value from them. But if you guys are newer to the game and you guys just got Cassandra somehow, finished the fusion, for example, she doesn't need books on this A2 to land decreased defense and HP burn 100%. So not a bad addition to like a clan boss team if you want to use her without books, for example. But for this ability, definitely need some books. Otherwise, it's a 6-turn ability, which really sucks. Quick note about accessories here. We're on the test server. We had no accessories for the brand new Argonite faction, so I had to farm up some accessories. Went with HP, and accuracy. Quick note about accuracy here for Cassandra. If you're not running her with a Veil champion, you should run her with accuracy so that she can land her debuffs properly. That's, I think, a given. Lastly, just going to go over the total stats here. So we got 80k HP, 4.3k attack, 3.2k defense, 285 speed. Speed is going to be very important for her because it allows her to cycle through her abilities. Accuracy to do stuff. Resistance, I mean, if you can get resistance on her, that's going to be really good. Obviously, you're looking for at least 400, low 400s for hard dungeons. All right, so that's the build. Let's jump into some content and see how well she does. All right, first things first, let's jump into Dragon Hard 10. So usually with a build like this, most champions can finish off this as a solo champion, solo run pretty easily, especially like, for example, we used the Xenomorph previously, and the Xenomorph with basically the same type of build was able to go through Hard 10 with 4 food in relatively, modest time, about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, about 3 minutes. Still pretty good. The problem here with Cassandra is that her kit is just not made for this. She can't really deal with wave clear. And the fact that she can't deal crazy damage here because she doesn't have, full damage gear, she's not going to trigger the AoE stun effect on her A2. So right now she's basically just single targeting down this wave. She's not going to die because we have some pretty good gear on her with regen and stuff like that, but she's not going to be able to kill the waves. So we're going to duck out of here. She's not going to be very useful here. All right. So any of the wave-based dungeons, she's not going to be able to help you with this kind of build. Now, that's going to omit things like the Minotaur, Ice Golem, Spider. Spiders is not going to work there either. Fire Knight's Castle, not going to work there. Let's try her out in Sand Devil. A lot of people have been talking about this. I want to tell you guys exactly what the issue here is with the Sand Devil. The biggest issue here is she is Magic Affinity and he is Force Affinity. So he's going to hit her super hard and she's not going to be able to recover, right? So let's see how well she does. She also has multi-hits on her A1, which is not the best against the Sand Devil because it's going to trigger him to wake up. So I'm gonna watch her play it out here. So with this specific build, she needs to be speed tuned so that it allows her to, first of all, heal up the max HP that gets destroyed. That's a big thing. And the other thing is that she needs to be able to have the buffs ready for the big attacks so that she can survive. Now we are running Aspect of Suroth here, which is a big thing because it allows us to take the hits, survive, heal up, and then come back for more. But at this point, it's kind of inconsistent. You can kind of see Aspect of Suroth there doing a bit of work. We get the big heal off. We get the regen going as well. And then we're landing the HP burn there as well, which is helping us do damage. But, it's not particularly fast for this type of build, but it might be useful. Let's see how this is going to work here. I don't know if this is bugged or what, but it looks really weird with the full destroy max HP. I think it's kind of bugged here. I don't know. It looks bugged out now. The HP bar just disappeared there. It looks bugged out. All right, guys, getting near the end here. So just about a 5-minute run. I mean, relatively okay, but she is geared out pretty well here. I'm not sure if this is going to be a bug or not, but her life bar looks super weird. I'm going to test her real quick here without the Aspect of Suroth to see if that is the reason why she is performing in this way. Obviously, I think with the proper speed tune, she probably could do this in relatively okay time. We're really relying on brimstone damage here, but since it's not speed tuned and she doesn't die, her skills doesn't reset. So her landing her A2 on the boss when it's sleeping, it's not really guaranteed, so that's going to increase the runtime there a little bit. But you know what? 5 minutes, not too bad here. When I first read her kit, I thought she would be really good for this, but I think you just need to make a proper speed tune for this, which I haven't figured out yet. But I'm going to test her out real quick without the Aspect of Suroth and see how well she performs, and I'll show that in this video. All right, I'm just going to do the switch here with the Golden Elixir, and then switch out the Aspect of Suroth, and then we'll see how well she does. So, be right back. All right, so it looks like the Aspect of Suroth was causing that kind of behavior for this boss. So it wasn't necessarily her kit or the build that was causing her to defeat the Sand Devil. It was the Aspect of Suroth that was keeping her alive. I'm sure her kit definitely helps with the A3, giving her some extra turns of survivability because the Aspect of Suroth does have some cooldown on it. But it's a pretty specific relic, so if you have it, definitely you can try it with the Cassandra, and it'll be able to work on Sand Devil for you. All right, let's move on quickly here. We're going to go to Phantom Shogun. Now, this is another spot where a lot of people were saying that she would be really good. And yes, based on her kit, if she has a 5-star blessing, which probably will come from a Titan event or a Hero's Path event somewhere down the line, she can be pretty good. Because without a blessing here, she can't bring down the shade counter for the Phantom Shogun, and then she's just going to die. So I'm going to show her here with this build. We do have the Golden Elixir. I don't think Golden Elixir or Aspect of Suroth is going to make a big difference on her for this dungeon. And you know what? I'll showcase her with food and without food. So we can see exactly what happens. And there is an issue here. The big problem here is that the food is a little bit of a liability. I like that the decreased defense and HP burn places even though she is enfeebled, which is really nice. Place, of course. So you see how the food here is kind of racking up his shade counter, which is a little bit of a mess. So if Cassandra A1 there and she was enfeebled, then we're probably dead. So that's kind of what would happen. But because she wasn't enfeebled and she didn't weak hit, we were able to bring down the shade counter, I think under 35 or something. So the food is a little bit of a liability, but take away the food. Let's take away the food here, and we'll run her without the food. Now, this gets a lot more, a lot more consistent, mainly because we don't start off the round with plus 35 or whatever it was, plus 50. And with her A1 being a triple hit, it actually gives you a good opportunity to kind of burst down his shade counter. Now, on the flip side, it actually can trigger his shade counter very quickly. So if she's enfeebled and then she attacks and she's under 50% HP, you see what happens there. 39, 46. So you see what happened there. She's under 50% HP. She hits him 6 times, and all those weak hits are basically just causing his shade counter to go crazy. So it's not ideal. It's not ideal, right? It's not ideal here. Yes, she has ways to survive the big hits. She can do it. I've had successful runs, but it's not consistent. And there's some champions that can do this without having this level of issue. And I think it probably stems from her A1 being a triple hit. Or her A3 being a 4-turn cooldown. Let's run this out. Let's see how it goes. She is enfeebled right now. So the triple hits going in, slowly increasing the shade counter there. If she was under 50% HP, then it would have been, it would have been really, really crazy in terms of how fast the shade counter ran up. You can kind of see there again, she's enfeebled. Her A1's doing multi-hits, rising up the counter there. We're at 43. Yeah, it's really hard to recover, really inconsistent for her, this kind of build. We did have, a couple of successful runs, but I would say the win rate is probably like 20% for this kind of build, even in a solo setting. All right, so she can't do the dungeons. She can't do the wave-based dungeons. She can't do Sand Devil. She can't do Phantom Shogun, at least in this build. Not saying that she can never do it. I'm sure some really big brains out there can figure out how to do it. But at least in this kind of build that has been proven to work on some other champions that can do this, she cannot. All right, so where is she actually good? Let's test her out in the clan boss. All right, let's test her out in the clan boss. This is one of the spots where she probably could excel. All right, I got her up against Ninja here. They're relatively comparable type of champions. They got decreased defense, they got HP burn. Ninja's probably going to do more damage because he activates his HP burn. But Cassandra does bring her own shatter buff, so that's a little bit of extra damage as well. I'm going to change up her blessing here so that it won't affect her damage output. So again, we'll change up the blessing and we'll give her some total nothing blessing, which is this one, and then we'll jump into it. So she does gain turn meter boost from the A1, so she's going to gain more turns. Her build is basically the same as Ninja. They're both in a regeneration set. She's a little bit faster, so she's going to get more attacks in as well. She got the turn meter boost of the A1 as well. I mean, so does Ninja, but she's quite a bit faster. I think it's like 15% faster, like 40 speed faster than the Ninja. We have Crocat here with some synergy with the Shayak, and then we have Mithrala for the cleanse, increased defense, increased attack, and a little bit of poison comparison as well. But Crocat is in a proper merciless set, so ignore defense damage. All the relics are off of them for damage. She's still running the golden elixir. And let's put out some numbers. Let's see how well they do together. All right, let's see. Quick battle here. So 51.5 million damage. Now, the big thing I think with this team is that it's missing decrease attack. If we can bring decrease attack into this fight, I think this would probably go for the 1 key. But this is just strictly for damage comparison here. You see Cassandra at 8.7 million damage. We see Ninja 9.9 million damage. Shayak no damage. Crocat 27 million. And then Mithrala basically just with poisons doing 5.3 million damage. So Cassandra's A2 hits pretty good. It's a good hit, single target hit, but it's still not as good as somebody like Ninja versus a single target where he activates his HP burn a bunch of times. They're both running War Master, so there's no real advantage there as well. I'm going to sub out Ninja and put in this Tholin. He is in proper nuking gear here with 6-piece Merciless set. Pretty decent stats, but nothing too crazy. No relic, no blessings on him. And we'll see how well he performs compared to Cassandra. All right, let's try that again. We'll run the quick battle, see how much damage they can do. It's just comparing them relatively speaking. All right, so obviously Ninja is going to do way more damage because HP burns work pretty well against the clan boss. And then Cassandra is going to be doing a little bit more damage because Tholen does bring the weekend. So everybody does a little bit more damage. But you can kind of see here, Tholen's not doing crazy damage against the clan boss or anything like that. So at least Cassandra is better here than somebody like Tholen, which you guys might have if you guys just started the game not too long ago. All right, guys. So what about Hydra? Is she a Hydra champion? Now, she has a single target A1 multi-hit. She has a single target A2. And yes, she can self-buff herself. But her passive, the everything is permitted passive, doesn't really work super well against bosses. Yes, it can work one time, and then it's just going to be a small bit of damage based on her attack. So she's not going to do some crazy damage from her passive. Now, will her Sparta passive give her a huge damage boost? Now, this doesn't stack. Is on one hit. So when she hits, she gets the damage boost. When she is hit, she gets the defense boost. Is it enough for her to do a lot of damage? It's not enough. It's not enough, guys. Or at the very least, it's already baked in. It's already balanced out by Plarium designing her this way. She has low base attack. Like I said, makes her harder to build up her base attack. So it's already balanced in the minds of Plarium, I think, right out of the box. But we'll test her out in this build here. We got Marius, one of the best damage dealers, accessible damage dealers, I guess, that we have. We are on Nightmare difficulty, so he's doing max HP to them. He's going to be the best at this highest difficulty. We have Taras here. We have a pretty good team for Taras. We got buffs here, buffs here. We got buffs everywhere, so this is a pretty good team for Taras to show his muscles. We got a Reviver. We got decreased defense and weaken, strengthen from Lydia. And then we will have Cassandra here pitching in with whatever damage she can do. I did remove the blessings from the big boys here, so they don't have Crushing Rend or anything like that to give them an advantage. I also removed their relics, so again, no advantage there. I'll show you guys the stats on all these champions so you guys have reference at the very end. So let's do the quick battles here, see how well she performs relative to some of these pretty heavy lifters here. All right, so we got 154, kind of low to be honest. What is she putting out? She's putting out 11. She's putting out 11 million damage. We got Marius here with 80. We have Taras with 36. This is definitely not a great result. Let's run it again. It can definitely go 100 or 1,000 turns. Let's see it in action here. Falling short again. This time, Cassandra's doing 17 million damage. Sulfurion's doing 31 from his HP burns. Taras doing 95. Mary's doing 139. So we can kind of see that she's pretty much light years away from some of the heavy hitters. She's doing about 1/5 of what Taras does. I mean, it's not a fair comparison because she is a single target damage dealing champion, and these guys are just, damage from everywhere. But the other thing is that Sulfurion, he's just applying the HP burns AoE, and he is already doing more damage than Cassandra at 17. So 31 for Sulfurion, 17 for Cassandra. It just shows that the single target ability is just not strong enough to compensate for basically AoE HP burn, at least in this regeneration build. Now we can come back to this with a full damage build, and I'll show you guys if there's any kind of discrepancy or any kind of improvement, just to wrap it all up nicely. So the next thing that people were talking about was Chimera. Unfortunately, we don't have access to Chimera right now, so I can't really test her out. But she won't make it far because the ram head will steal all her buffs, and then she'll probably instantly die, or not steal the buffs, just remove the buffs, and then probably instantly die. So it would be really hard to make her really, really work in the Chimera. So where is she actually good? That's the key question. Where is she good in this type of PvE build with full regen and all that? Iron Twins. She's good in the Iron Twins, guys. So let's change up her blessing again. Back to Brimstone. And now she can do some damage. All right, so we changed up her blessing back to Brimstone. This is one of the spots where she's actually pretty decent. You can actually bring some food in, but it's only 6 battles a day. And if you need her for this, then, she can be your answer here with the Brimstone and this type of solo type build. She actually performs pretty well. So you guys can watch her in action here. We do have the advantage of being positive affinity today, so it makes it look a little bit easier. Now, it's not going to get hard until the bottom 25% or whatever, but let's see how it goes. Buffs, yeah, buffs. Missed the HP burn there. A lot of damage comes from HP burns. Obviously, Brimstone. Okay. Yep, cleansing. Cleanse is good, but crit rate, like not a huge deal. Weaken, I guess, is a deal. Easier to kill, I guess, but pretty hard to kill. Right now we have the elixir going on. Also, the elixir is going to make this super easy as well. Yeah, there she is. She's going to be able to solo this without too many issues. And she applies her buffs, but even without the buffs, you can kind of see her HP pool. She never really dips super low anyways. So she's going to be able to do this very, very smoothly, but not necessarily the fastest. And this is with Brimstone and War Master. All right, so this is kind of the one spot where I found that she can kind of do it with this build without too many issues at all. Like she was never in any danger of failing. All right, and for the sake of completeness, I'm just going to deck her out. This time we have a 5-star blessing on her, and we didn't showcase her in a damage build with the 5-star blessing. We have the 6-piece Merciless for 35% ignore defense. We put a Cat's Gaze on her. She has the Boss Killer gem. She has bonus ignore defense here from the other gems. We're going to put Nature's Wrath, which is probably her best blessing outside of the 6-star Crushing Rend versus PvE content. And then we're going to switch up her masteries here back to Helm Smasher so that she can do more damage. Total stats I got on her: 47k HP, 5.8k attack, 282 speed, 366 crit damage. Now the crit damage obviously went up, getting the bigger blessing and all that. We got 400 accuracy, so she can land all her stuff in all areas of the game. Let's jump into it. Let's check out what she can do against the Hydra boss, which we were very underperforming in relative to the others. This time she's going to come in. She's souped up. She's going to be doing lots of damage. She's got the Cat's Gaze on. She's got the Nature's Wrath on. She is ready to smack. How is she going to do against Taras and Marius this time around? Let's see. We go the full 1,000 turns. This time Cassandra's doing 151 million damage. Taras doing 93 million damage, and then Marius doing 157 million damage. Now Cassandra, like I said, she's actually benefiting from her blessing. She has a crazy relic on. Both Taras and Marius do not have any blessings that are worthwhile, and they don't have any relics that are worthwhile. Their damage is definitely muted a bit. So in a full damage build, Cassandra could potentially keep up. And then also in this type of damage build, she actually performs relatively okay as a wave clearing champion. So she can actually do the wave clear solo because her damage allows her to basically stun waves now. So this can be actually, viable, but she won't be able to deal with most of the bosses by herself, unfortunately. So she's not totally viable as a dungeon crawler by herself. But you can kind of see here, A2 hits ridiculously hard, especially with a proper, ignore defense build that we have on right now. But she can get through the waves, but she's going to die instantly against the dragons, so that doesn't work out here. All right, again, for completeness sake, let's take her back into the Demon Lord versus Ninja this time. This time, again, jacked up with the use of her blessing. We got Nature's Wrath, we got the Cat's Gaze on, we got ignore defense set, we got big crit rate, big crit damage. Let's see what the damage numbers turn out to be this time. Let's see if she can overtake this Crowcat. That's going to be a big test for her. Previously, she was doing about 75% or 80% of Ninja's damage. Now she's doing double in a pure DPS build. Didn't quite catch up to Crowcat, but Crowcat has the benefit of basically doing 2-for-1 damage. He has to make up for Shayek's lack of damage. But Cassandra in the full damage build, doing pretty good. Obviously, like I said, she has the big blessing, she has the big relic, and that's going to help out quite a bit. One more time. This time we're going to change up her blessing so she has no advantage, and then we're going to remove the relic. So we totally took off her relic. Let's see what kind of damage she can do with this full damage build. And she's doing 16. So she's doing 16 with basically no relic, no blessing. With relic and blessing, she's doing 20. So additional, roughly about 20-ish% boost. Doing slightly better than Ninja here, but like I said, she's in full damage gear here. So, all right, so back to this. Just want to show you guys the final stats on her. This is with no relic, no blessing bonuses, but she does get the blessing stats, of course. So what can we conclude from our playtest? What can we conclude from our playtest? She basically needs to be built in a damage build for her to do lots of damage. Giving her any kind of PvE, solo or sustained build like regeneration, it's just not going to work. She's not going to do a lot of damage. She can't deal with waves by herself. That's the big thing. And that kind of just really limits her. You could use her in some ways to maybe solo some bosses. That's the thing, because she does bring the HP burn. So she definitely has a way to deal with solo bosses. For example, like Sand Devil, we could use the aspect of Suroth. For example, the Iron Twins, we could, just use her to solo Iron Twins as well. There's probably a way to solo the Phantom Shogun as well, but her kit kind of hurts her as well as it helps. The multi-hit A1 is a little bit of a liability, especially if she gets the 6-hit when enfeebled. It can be pretty bad. And she's not a crazy damage dealer against any of the bosses, unless you give her, big damage build stats. So for me, she's not a very early game friendly champion. She needs a lot of stats to make her really, really work. And you guys can kind of judge for yourselves how well she did against some of the other big damage dealers out there. Now I'm going to show you guys a couple of the champions that I was using so you guys get accurate comparisons. So first of all, we were using this Marius. Marius is only in a lethal set, so he was not even running at the same ignore defense as Cassandra, because she was running the 35% merciless set as well. Faraz is in a 9-piece merciless set here with slightly worse total stats than Cassandra had. So you guys the Crowcat here real quick, running the awesome 99% crit rate, but pretty good crit damage here, really crazy base attack. So that's kind of what she was being compared against. And then we have this ninja, like I said, in regen gear, not really built for damage or anything, just built more like in a solo type build. 193 crit damage was there, but just really just a solo build. Like I said, guys, you guys are going to be the judge based on all these playtests. Personally speaking, I don't think she can find a place in a lot of areas for a lot of different people. She's not as good as somebody like the Xenomorph, which really helps early game players with clan boss damage, as well as, helps you out through dungeon waves. And I don't think she's as good as Tholen just overall, because Tholen does have wave clearing abilities. But you guys can kind of be the judge of that. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think about this showcase here for her. Took a more deeper dive in some more obscure builds, just to see where she can actually be really, really good. If you guys have found a way to make her really, really work, let me know in the comments below. Appreciate you guys watching until the end. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.